Yesterday was supposed to be a massive protest on behalf of the country called Getting Into Good Trouble. How successful it was, I don't know. I've scanned the newspapers and I've just come up with a few articles in The Guardian about the protest movement. But one thing I know for sure, Trump's executive order directing the states to start putting into place more anti-voting regulations. That's happening. In North Carolina, they're finally going to be investigated by 17 attorney generals who are coming from the Democratic Party to investigate their voter suppression laws. According to my friend who lives in North Carolina, what they're doing is they're going to try to make it a misdemeanor if you help somebody to register to vote. They want to get about 100,000 people off the voting rolls. That's a lot of folks. And Texas is looking to gerrymander. The Dakotas are looking to gerrymander so that they can also make it impossible for minorities, Native Americans to vote. So my feeling is, whether or not yesterday's march, which was July 17th, was successful or not, it behooves all of us to look at Rise and Resist in New York, my friend Kim Philpott's Linktree in North Carolina, and use them as models for protesting in your individual states. You gotta prevent the local and state officials from enacting laws that would prevent your vote and find a reason to disqualify you. They all want to prevent voting by ballot, which makes it so much easier for all of us to vote. I use it all the time in New York City. If it were unconditional absentee ballots, that would be even better. But I'll take it. And I vote weeks in advance and make sure that my ballot gets to the polls and to the Federal Election Committee before the due date. For those of us who are in the Army or in the State Department or work overseas, it's a little bit more difficult to get your vote in on time. But you must do it because the states are looking to disqualify your ballots. So be aware that voting in 2026 is going to be heavily gerrymandered, watched, and looked at for any errors that you might have. So be precise. Start now to register to vote. Because if you've got an inconsistent voting record, trust me, those states who are looking to deny your right to vote will use that opportunity to take you off the rolls. So now is the time to register to vote. And there should be massive voting drives taking place now, not before 2026, but now. And get to know the opposition candidates for your local level counselors and your state representatives. And then for the federal government. Don't allow those folks who have signed Trump's reconciliation bills and the rescinding bills that will take away the monies that were already guaranteed to us from agencies that we really enjoy listening to. NPR and public radio are nonpartisan. They're the only news that some American Indians use and rural communities rely on. When I asked my same friend in North Carolina, did she know about the protests yesterday? She didn't. She'd never heard of it. Now, this is an educated woman in tune with her local and state politics, and she hadn't heard about the protests that were scheduled for 1,500 regions in the country. We're not doing a good enough job of protesting. So I believe either you got to step up the communications or you got to step up what you're doing on the local level to ensure that voting rights are fair. If you think they're not, go to the ACLU, go to Southern Poverty Law, go to the Democratic Party. Get the attorneys general involved. Let them do the lawsuits for you. This is what we can do to save our democracy, because the corporations are going to be on a sugar high pretty soon. And truthfully, that's what maintains despots in power. The corporations and the uber wealthy, who will now become wealthier under Trump. They've got all the tax breaks. That's why we're all impoverished. Not because immigrants are taking your jobs, but because the top 1% has got all the money, and they're not contributing to the revenue of the federal government at all. If corporations and the uber wealthy actually contributed in taxation to the revenue of the federal government, we'd never have to worry about our benefits. We'd have them permanently. But thanks to Trump, after the 2026 midterms, our benefits are no longer guaranteed. There's going to be cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP programs, which provides food for the hungry, and this administration doesn't care. We're being gaslighted as a nation. Anyone who's not part of the 1%, we don't matter. Look what Trump said to his MAGA base. He called them stupid. I would never do that, but he did. Stupid because they want answers. That's the kind of man he is. Now that he is older, remember what happens to all of us who get older. We're the same that we were when we were younger, only more intense, that's all. Donald Trump, he was a bully before, he's a bully now. Let's see what happens. Let's see if he reneges, because there's now trouble in MAGA City, and that trouble can only benefit all of us in America, because he doesn't want his party to split apart. And if it does, there's going to be open elections, and he's not going to be so popular, and he's not going to be happy. So, protest. Go to your state capitals. Know what's happening in your state, and fight against voter repression. It's the most important thing we can do to prevent the Republican Party from working together to destroy all of our rights.